Hi, my name's Michelle. Thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. I'm going to be discussing how to find calm in times of uncertainty. I'm going to talk about the second wave of well-being. Before we start though, I want to ask you a question. Have you got a glass of water with you? If you haven't, pause the video, go and get a glass of water. Because what I'm going to do throughout the talk is I'm going to stop, I'm going to take a sip of water, and I'd like you all to join me doing the same, because at the moment, it's really important that we are keeping ourselves really well hydrated. So let's begin. My name is Michelle and I'm a certified health coach. What is a health coach? We work with people to stop them getting sick in the first place, to ensure that they can live long, healthy, happy lives. The reason that I became a health coach was through my own personal journey. About 5 years ago, I found myself really unwell. I ended up in hospital. Fortunately, I recovered, but for 3 years after that, I just found myself getting sick all the time, and for no real reason. But I was also exhausted. So even though I was getting 8 hours sleep a night, at 3 o'clock every day, I was having to take myself off and have a little nap somewhere. And also, I was eating really well, I was exercising a lot, but I was gaining weight for no reason. So I was stuck in this cycle of kind of being sick and tired all of the time. It all came to a head 2 years ago when my husband found me collapsed on the bathroom floor and I decided enough was enough. So I started to work with a health coach. I'd never heard of health coaches before and I thought she was going to talk to me about fats, carbs and proteins, but she didn't. She talked to me about stress and how stress impacts the body. From that point on, I just felt like a light bulb moment and I changed how I live my life. I managed my stress. And since that point, I haven't been sick. I don't go to the toilet for a nap at 3 o'clock anymore. And I've lost a significant amount of weight. So what I decided to do was to train to be a health coach so I could help other people live the same life and be the best that they could be. But we're going to talk about COVID-19 today. To beat COVID-19, we're going to have to live our lives really differently over the next few weeks and months. But I'm not here to talk to you about how to deal with your well-being today. The reason for that is there's the famous quote, a good hockey player plays where the puck is, but a great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. So this is really where my talk is focusing on today. I'm going to project forward to what life is going to look like in 2, 4, 8 weeks' time. But let's start as I normally would. Some science. Change often creates fear and uncertainty. And fear is a primary emotion, often recognized through facial expressions, such as this one. Most of us will have seen Home Alone, so we'll recognize this. Fear is a healthy response. It helps us survive. It teaches us how to avoid danger in the future. So as an example, when you're younger and you're crossing the road, maybe a car beeps at you to warn you it's there. You realize that you could have been in a bit of danger, so your fear kicks in, but fortunately, you're all okay. You learn from that. So in the future, you make smarter decisions when you're crossing the road. So you would use a zebra crossing, like the Beatles did, probably the most famous zebra crossing in the world. And I'm pleased to see now that actually a social distancing version of the album cover has been created as well. To think and plan our lives, we process information. We plan for the future by simulating all the possible scenarios based on past experiences. So let's take hay fever as an example. With hay fever, we know that come spring, when the pollen count starts to go up, people who suffer with hay fever, the symptoms are going to begin. They're going to get itchy eyes, they're going to get runny noses. But they know this from past experience, so they go to the chemist, they buy the relevant medication, it calms the symptoms down, and they know that over time the pollen count will reduce and their hay fever will go away. So they don't worry about it. It might not be a nice thing to have. I suffer with hay fever, it's not great. However, I'm not worried about it because I know it's going to go away. The challenge that we have is very few of us have ever lived through a pandemic like we are facing now. Unless you were alive in 1918 when there was Spanish flu, which was the last time the world suffered as it is suffering today. We've all got uncertainty about what COVID-19 actually is. How do we deal with it? Because none of us have ever experienced it before. And because we haven't experienced it before, we cannot simulate the future scenario. And what happens is when you've got fear and you add uncertainty, it creates anxiety. And anxiety is a secondary emotion. It's an often invisible emotion. I thought I'd give you a little example. This is my wedding day. On my face, you see joy and happiness, which of course I was feeling. I was excited. It was the best day of my life. However, of course I was anxious. It was my wedding day. Who isn't anxious? And yet my face doesn't show it. But bless my dad, his face is certainly showing how he was feeling. Anxiety is an emotion that's characterized by feelings of tension, of worried thoughts, the what ifs, but also physical changes. So our hearts race, we get jelly legs, our hands go sweaty. And when it gets to extreme levels, you may find that you get to a point that you can't even physically see. But it's not a new emotion. Most of us, or probably all of us, have experienced it at some point in our lives. But what's happening now is the volume on the anxiety levels are being turned up to the max. We're in isolation. We're suddenly 24/7, either on our own or with our families, working at home, educating our kids at home. This is something that is creating extreme levels of anxiety because it's not something we've ever had to do before, where we've had our freedom taken away. So my school friend sent me this. This isn't one of my school friends, and I'm sure you may well have seen this. It's one of the pictures that's going viral on the internet at the moment of a woman just trying to get some peace to work at home. But what happens is, to add to our anxiety about isolation, we've got another challenge. Quick water break. Social media. You can contain the virus by social distancing, by washing your hands and singing happy birthday twice, by self-isolating. But with social media, you cannot contain it from your mind. Social media is basically sneezing and coughing all over us. We see pictures like this. What happens? The anxiety levels go up, the panic kicks in. What am I going to do? And then people do this. How much toilet roll do you actually need? And suddenly we've created a panic pandemic. What happens at that point is, if we look at our brain, and a bit more science view here, the prefrontal cortex of our brain is the region that is responsible for making rational and logical decisions. When we are panicking, it goes offline. Our emotional brain just takes over. Anyone who's read this book or has done any cognitive behavioral therapy will understand what I'm talking about. It's about the chimp in our mind. The chimp is our emotional brain. It's 4 times more powerful than our logical brain. So when we see pictures of empty shelves, what happens is our chimp comes out and suddenly we're buying too much toilet roll and pasta. And we just got to stop. Stop a minute. We're all feeling scared and anxious. It's completely understandable, but we will get through this together. We will go down to the beach. We will watch the sunset with our friends and our families. So today, let's talk about some tools. There's a lot of tools that can help you today. Everyone is telling you about them. Everywhere you look on the internet, there are more people telling you about all the good things you can be doing today. And how do I know this? Firstly, I see it. But secondly, my traffic has gone down. I'm a health coach. This is what I do as my job. And I post videos on my social media with hints and tips. And now my traffic has gone down because there is such an increase in content, which is fantastic, because the more information that is available to people, the better. They're talking to you about these sorts of things. And I will run through them quickly because you may be watching this and not have seen any of this information anywhere else. So to run through it quickly, number 1, diet. It's really important that we're looking after our diets at the moment and we're getting our fruit and veg in, because our diets are building our immune system and we need our immune system to be supercharged at the moment. Exercise. We need to keep moving for our mental health. Breathing, which I will talk about later, but breathing. We need to keep breathing. We need to keep calm. New hobbies. Now is a time where you've got potentially more time on your hands, so learn something that you've always wanted to learn. My husband's just bought himself a guitar. Thank goodness he didn't buy a drum kit or some bagpipes. But he's taking the time to learn something new. Connect with people. With so much amazing technology now, there's no reason for not connecting with people. I actually took part in a virtual pub quiz that had 40 teams in it last night. We raised over £500 for food banks. So use the technology to connect. Gratitude practice. When times are hard and we are generally feeling very negative about what we're facing, it does help to be grateful for what we've got. However small that might be grateful for the fact that you've got food on the table, be grateful for the fact you've got a roof over your head. Be grateful for the fact that you've got people who love and care for you and communities of people that are coming together to support us. Stimulants. Big one to be careful of when we're all at home, and this was something that was noticed yesterday, that all the wine in Sainsbury's had gone. So just make sure that you're not making the most of the time at home by starting drinking a bit too early, or maybe having a few too many coffees. And media consumption. There is so much information out there, and at the moment it is generally bad news. So limit how much of the media you actually look at, because the more you look at it, it's going to put you in that negative spiral. So they're the hints and tips that people are talking about, and it's fantastic. And if you have any questions about any of those, because I know I haven't gone into them in detail, please do contact me and I'm happy to answer any questions. But I'm going to project out just 2 weeks' time. I'm not focusing on the today, I'm focusing about how we are going to feel in 2 weeks. So here we are, here's a chart for you. If we start in the bottom left corner of calm, that was before COVID-19 existed. And then as we started to hear more about it, the stress levels would increase and the anxiety's kicking in. And then what happened when we got to the point where we were all told to work from home, or people were finding themselves in situations of losing their jobs, we go past our panic threshold and we start to get to that panic pandemic level. So that's the first rise. And then what happens is you kind of get used to homeschooling your kids, working from home, dealing with life as it has become, and things start to calm down. And then what's going to happen in probably about 2 weeks' time, people are going to have their Easter meltdown. It's when people would have been going on holiday, so their panic is going to be going up again, because suddenly the reality of the situation, it's real, it's happening. So I'm going to focus on that second level, that second wave. And that's what I'm going to be really talking and sharing my tips with you about. Here we go. Water break. Tip 1, use your voice. By 2 weeks' time, probably by now even, and this I know is a bit ironic because you are watching this on the video, but people are going to be well and truly over looking at their screens. The amount of video calls that people will be having, you're going to have seen more of your colleagues than you would ever have seen and looked them in the face more than you ever would have. And technology is brilliant, and thank goodness that we've got it, because it means that we can connect with our friends and our families. We can continue working at home if we're fortunate enough to be in that situation. But what it does mean is that by being on the screen so much, we're creating fatigue, mind fatigue, eyesight fatigue, body fatigue. Also, being on your screen so much actually impacts your body clock. So our circadian rhythm is based on the 24-hour cycle of the sun. And when we're staring at our screens, our body clocks get confused because they think that it's daylight. So you need to be really cautious of how much time you are spending on your screen. So firstly, maybe limit yourself to 25 minutes and then give yourself a 5-minute break, just to look away, look out the window, step away, get a glass of water. But any of the calls that you are making that you can use on the telephone, do it. So if you are having one-to-one catch-ups with members of your team, or you're speaking to some friends, yes, of course, video call them sometimes. Also, sometimes it's good just to pick up the phone. I've moved all my coaching sessions now to on the telephone rather than on video, so that when we are talking, people can get up, they can walk around. If they've got outdoor space, they can go into the garden. If they haven't had their one exercise, they can go and have their one exercise for the day whilst talking to me. So please, where possible, use your voice, not always relying on the screens. When you need to use the screens, definitely use them, they're brilliant, but just be aware of how much you're on it. Tip 2, find solitude. For a very large number of us, we are suddenly in a very small situation, very close with our families. And particularly as we're saying, let's picture 2 weeks out, we are going to be feeling claustrophobic. We are going to be feeling like we just want to get away from them. We just want some space. So make an agreement with the people that you're living with that you can all just have some solitude. And whether that is an agreement that at a certain time of day, each of you can go off to a certain room and read a book or sit and breathe, or whatever it is that you want to do, play the guitar. Whether it's the agreement that if someone is out in the garden having their morning coffee, no one else comes out. This is going to be really, really important, because we are going to be in each other's personal space so much more than we ever have been before. So find some solitude. Tip 3, discover variety. So at the moment, we're kind of getting on with things, and we're cooking our meals, and we're doing our exercise, and we're building our routines in. Imagine 2 weeks' time. How bored are we of the same food? How bored are we of the same exercise? This is when we've got to discover variety, because we don't have it by going out and about like we used to. The variety of going to work or going to the gym or going for dinner with a friend, we don't have that. So discover some variety at home. Find some new recipes to cook. If anyone wants any great cookbook suggestions, I've got loads, so just give me a shout. But find variety in your food. If your exercise up until now has been sort of high intensity sort of workouts, maybe try some yoga. If you've been doing loads of yoga and you've never actually done some skipping and you happen to have a skipping rope, do some skipping, mix it up a bit, because boredom is really going to have kicked in by 2 weeks. Tip 4, exercise in small spaces. I'm projecting out 2 weeks. We don't know what the situation is going to be. We don't know how limited that we are going to be in our ability to get out and about. So we need to focus on still being able to exercise, but in a smaller space. So find somewhere where you live to potentially put down a yoga mat, or use the stairs to run up and down the stairs. Or when you're making a cup of tea, do some squats. When you're brushing your teeth, do some lunges. Think about ways to be creative to exercise in small spaces. There is so many amazing exercise videos now available. So whatever type of exercise you like, you can now definitely find it online and for free. Just go onto Instagram, hundreds of them. It's brilliant. Make the most of them, because exercise is really important at this time, not only for our physical well-being, for our mental well-being. Water break. Tip 5, take a holiday. That sounds a little bit weird, doesn't it? Because we can't take a holiday, but we can. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to be coming up to Easter. People would have been going away. That's not happening. So maybe still book your time off work. How many times before have you either wanted to or taken a staycation, where you've just stayed at home and kind of got stuff done? It means you're not having to go to your desk to do some work. You're not having to homeschool the kids. Take some time off. If you've got a garden, put a tent up in it and go on holiday in your garden. Pack a bag, wear your holiday clothes at home, cook the food that you would eat on holiday. Think about that time in 2 weeks when you're not having the holiday and go, do you know what? I'm still going to take a holiday because it's important to have something to look forward to. We've just got to do it in a different way. Another way to look at it is, if you are fortunate enough to have a spare room in your house, don't go in it for the next 2 weeks. Not at all in it. And then in 2 weeks' time, go on holiday to your spare room. It might sound crazy, but in 2 weeks' time, you're going to be grateful for that. If you haven't got a spare room, but you want to change your scenery, paint a wall. Imagine if suddenly I painted this wall, maybe with a beach scene. Give it a try, mix it up a little bit. Change your scenery. Take a holiday in whatever way that can look like to you. Treat yourself. Now, at the moment, I know money is hard for a lot of people, so I am not in any way suggesting that people go out and be extravagant. I'm talking about small little treats. I'm talking about sort of putting your favorite piece of fruit into the order of your shopping as it's coming. I'm talking about if you pop to the chemist because you need to get some paracetamol, maybe buy sort of some nail varnish. We're used to going out and about and browsing in the shops and buying things and getting our little dopamine hits from sort of the things that we're sort of treating ourselves to, and suddenly we're not able to do that. So spend some time treating yourself, but as I said, it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be small. It's just about having, again, things to look forward to, things to break up the day. Tip 7, waste some time. Since I've been working from home, I have never been more busy. And yes, work is busy, but I don't mean with that. I mean with the fact that I'm getting up at the same time every morning because we've all got to stick to our morning routine, but I'm getting my exercise in the morning because that's the exercise time that I've chosen for my one going out of the house a day. And then I'm working, and then I must make sure that I'm planning ahead, and I must make sure that I'm cooking healthy lunch, and I must make sure I'm staying connected to people, and I must make sure that I'm using that free online video to learn something. It's just literally non-stop. And also, when you're at home, there's almost like a guilt feeling about not doing anything. Because when you're at home, oh, I must fix that shelf that I'm meaning to fix, or I must change that light bulb, or I must get on top of my ironing. Sometimes you just need to stop and just waste some time. Because in the normal everyday, on the commute to work or on taking the kids to school, you kind of find yourself wasting some time standing around maybe at the school gate or waiting for the bus or whatever you're doing. So still do that at home. Just stop, ponder, think, contemplate. Take some time. It's really important that you do actually stop, because otherwise we're going to come out the other side of this and we're all going to be so exhausted from being so busy that we're not going to have any energy to celebrate when this is all over. Tip 8, forward planning. This is a difficult one because obviously we don't know how long we're forward planning for. But as a little bit of an example, decided I wanted to buy some gym equipment because of being at home, so doing some exercising at home. But because I hadn't forward planned, it turned out you can't get any equipment delivered anywhere, because those people who had forward planned a couple of weeks ago thinking ahead have already bought the gym equipment. So in 2 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time, what is it that you're going to want to be doing? If you're going to want to learn to play the guitar in 2 weeks' time, you probably want to order the guitar now. If there's a certain book that you're thinking, I'm going to read that book in 4 weeks' time, buy the book now. Because if it's a really good book and it's really popular, then you may not be able to get the book when you actually want to read it. So now it is about taking that forward planning and going, how am I going to feel? What am I going to want to be doing? What recipes am I going to want to be cooking? Because I'm mixing up the variety because I don't want to be bored with my food. What different exercises might I want to try? What things did I sort of love doing as a kid that maybe I'm going to start trying to do again? So maybe kind of building a train set or jigsaw puzzles or colouring books. Whatever those things are that you're kind of have put a bit over here in the to-do list that you're thinking you'll do when kind of you settle into working at home. Get those things now. Plan ahead. Tip 9, be positive. This is a really hard one at the moment when things are difficult. Things are really difficult. But we have to try and be positive. Anyone who knows anything, I'm mentioning CBT again, but who has done anything around cognitive behavioural therapy will know this. But ultimately, a situation happens, like it has done, something we completely never expected. What happens is we start to think, and then we start to feel, because we're thinking about what's going on at the moment, and we're thinking about how different our lives are, or we're thinking about our families and worrying about them. And then the emotions kick in. So suddenly we are feeling sad, we're feeling depressed, and then our behaviour and our actions off the back of that is the fact that then we may well not eat properly, or we may well not sleep properly. So as an example, let's take homeschooling children. You wake up in the morning and your thought is, I have no idea what I'm going to homeschool them today. I really don't want to homeschool them. What am I going to do? So your emotion that you're going to start to feel is demotivated, lethargic, uninspired. And what's going to happen when you sit down with your kids to try and homeschool them? You're not going to be able to give them the best. Whereas if you wake up in the morning and you kid yourself, and sometimes you do have to kid yourself, hey, I'm really looking forward to homeschooling today, you're going to be feeling much more positive, much more energized. And then when you sit down and you start doing algebra or whatever it is that you're studying with them, you're just going to be sort of buzzing and excited, and that is going to flow through to your kids, and you're going to have a great day with them. So we've got to be thinking about the thoughts rather than the actions. So here's some examples. On the left-hand side, we've got the things we could be thinking. I'm stuck at home. Instead, change that to I get to be safe in my home and spend time with my family. I will get sick. No, I will self-isolate. I will wash my hands, and this will significantly decrease my chances of getting sick. I will run out of items at home during self-isolation. No, I have prepared for this. I will use my items wisely, and I have everything I need for now. And if I don't have something and I can't get out, there are such amazing communities being built at the moment of people who are there to help you. If you're not already part of a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group, or haven't had a little leaflet through your door with your neighbours' phone numbers, then kind of get out there, get involved, join these groups so that you know that you will be looked after if you have to self-isolate. Everything is shutting down, I'm panicking. No, the most important places will be open. We've seen this in China, we've seen this in India. The supermarkets will be open, the chemists will be open. The retailers are mass hiring to get as many people as they can, basically to help us to get the food to us, the deliveries, to keep the shelves stocked. So don't panic, everything isn't going to shut. We'll be okay. There is too much uncertainty right now. Yes, there is. But I can't control the situation around me, and neither can you. But we can control our actions. We can social distance, we can self-isolate, we can wash our hands, we can do breath work, call our loved ones, sleep properly, eat properly, do the things that we love at home. Focus on what we can control, not the things that we can't. Because otherwise it's all about the what if negative. What if this goes on longer? What if I catch it? You can't control all of those things. Focus on what you can control. And again, we will get through this. My last tip, and this is a tip that everybody is sharing, but it's not, I don't think I've ever done a talk and not talked about taking a breath. And this is why it's important. We talked earlier about when you're panicking, your prefrontal cortex goes offline. Taking a few deep breaths allows it to come back online, which breaks the panic cycle. It's that simple. Water break. Little stat for you here. 63% reduction in anxiety just by introducing a short daily breath practice. And I'm not talking about sitting here oming and with your hands out like that, although if you want to do that, go for it. I love it. What I'm talking about is a short practice, 5 minutes, where you just stop. Take some proper breaths, slow your breathing down. It switches on your prefrontal cortex. It also reduces your stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, which at the moment are going to be through the roof. And slowing your breathing down regulates your stress hormones. So I thought I would get a little bit practical with you. I'm going to talk to you about a technique called shamatha. Sham means calm and atha means to remain. This is a Buddhist technique that is basically used to calm the mind, calm the agitated brain so that we can make the right decisions. And at the moment, making the right decisions is really important. And the most important right decision is to stay at home. So we're going to do a little practical exercise. And this is really hard for me because normally I'm doing this either sort of on Zoom calls or in front of a group of people. So I'm assuming that, I'm trusting that you're going to join me doing this exercise. And if not, then just sit and wait until we finish and then I can carry on with the talk. What we're going to do is when I start the practice, I want you to sit up straight. If you're on a chair, I want you to put your feet flat on the floor. If you're sat on the floor, I want you to cross your legs in a comfortable position. I want you to put your hands face up on your knees or on your lap, wherever is comfortable. The reason I want them facing palms up is you have a lot of nerve endings on your palms. So you want to not have that connected with your knees. So put them face up. I want you to relax your body. I want you to relax your face. I want you to focus on breathing through your nose if this is possible. If it isn't possible, then of course take the breathing through your mouth. But if possible, do breathe through your nose, because it creates a different type of breathing. Our nose is there for breathing and smelling. Our mouth is there for eating and talking. When we breathe through our mouth, what happens is we have shallow breaths into our chest. When we breathe through our nose, we have deep breaths into our tummy, which is how we're meant to breathe. Picture little babies when they're breathing in and out of their noses and their little tummies go up and down. That's what we want to be doing. And we're going to do breathing in for 4, hold your breath for 4, and breathe out for a count of 8. I'm going to talk you through it for 2 rounds, and then I'm going to go quiet, and then I want you to do 2 rounds yourself at your own pace. If you find that 4, 4, 8 is a bit of a struggle for you, then take it to 3, 3, 6, or take it to 2, 2, 4. Whatever works best for you. But I'm going to talk you through, as I said, I'm going to talk through 2 rounds, and then I'm going to go quiet for 2 rounds. And then when I figured that you've stopped doing it, because I can't see you to know that you have, I will continue talking again. So close your eyes. Relax your shoulders, relax your face, put your hands palm up somewhere comfortable in your lap, and focus on breathing through your nose. So breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Out for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Out for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now in your own time, 2 rounds. Okay, so I'm assuming that you've probably finished. I'm hoping that even just after those 4 rounds of breathing, you can start to feel yourself feeling a little bit calmer. Do that as many times as you need to throughout the day. When you start to feel anxiety kicking in, when you start to feel overwhelmed and that you just can't make a decision, just stop, take a breath. And for those of you with children, you can use this technique with them. 5-finger breathing. Get them to put their hands up. Take the other hand with their index finger. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Get them to do that, tracing through their fingers, and repeat as many times as you need to, because your children are going to be feeling this anxiety as well. And it is really important for everyone to feel calm when you're all living in a house together, particularly in 2 weeks' time when the anxiety levels are going to be at peak. But it is called a meditation practice. So if at first you try it and it doesn't work for you, just keep practicing. If I gave you some running shoes and I said, off you go and run a marathon, you'd say, no, hang on a minute, Michelle, I need to do some training. It's the same with meditation. You've got to find what works for you. You've got to find the voice of the person. If you're listening to an app, you must like the voice, really important. You might like counting, just like I've done there. You might like body scanning, where you go through all the different parts of your body to keep focus. You might like visualization. You might like more intense breath work. Try all the different things until you find what works for you. It's the same as with sport, isn't it? Everybody likes a different type of sport. So that's the same with meditation. It's not a one size fits all. but fundamentally, it's just breathing. So don't let the fact that it's called meditation put you off, because it's just breathing. Here's some apps for you. Calm, Headspace, Insight Timer, Unwinding Anxiety. There's so many options available for you. And so I know that with the apps, they're actually offering more free stuff for you to use now to help people get through these challenging times. So get on the apps, give them a try. I use Calm every morning. They launch a daily Calm. It's 10 minutes. Tamara, she talks for a little bit, you breathe for a little bit, she talks for a little bit more, and you'll be amazed at how much better I feel afterwards, how much clarity of thought I have about my day going forward. And I just feel calm and empowered to do what I need to do to get through the day. So I'm going to finish off here. Be calm. So take a walk, take a breath, be kind to each other, the people that you are now in close proximity to. It's going to be tough, but remember you love these people and be kind to them. But also be kind to yourself. It is okay to want to go and sit in a room on your own. It is okay to want to have a bubble bath without being interrupted by the kids. It's really important to be kind and be connected. We all saw this with the clapping for our carers, the connection now in communities of people coming outside, thanking the people that are keeping us sort of safe and well during this difficult time. So use the technology to stay connected with people, because 2 weeks out, this is going to be even more important. And if you need any help, please contact me. There's my website. I'm on all the different social medias and I post regular hints and tips. As I said, at the moment, the traffic's gone down, so I would definitely appreciate sort of people going and having a look. But it's more for you. It's there. There's hints and tips on different things that you can be doing, and whether that's from getting some daylight first thing in the morning, because actually it reacts with your retinas to mean that you sleep better at the end of the day. Who would have thought that? Or whether it's a tip about having a set lunchtime so that there's no meetings booked in at work between 1 and 2, so that everyone can actually get away from their screens. There's lots of tips on there, but also please, if you have any questions at all, if you want to know about good podcasts or good books or good Netflix documentary or box sets or whatever it is that you want, please do contact me, because it's really important at this time that we just all support each other. But we will get through this and we will come out stronger, and we will know our neighbours like we've never known them before. So look after yourself, and thank you very much for spending your time with me. Take care.